Hello everyone, greetings from Saudi Arabia. So today our group is going to present our findings in this project. So we have covered our relational database design and non-relational database. So in the relational database aspect of things, we are going to share about our approach in designing the ERD, the relational diagram, and of course, we are going to talk about our SQL queries, how we approach and some of the difficulties we faced. And of course, we will share with you the outputs of our SQL queries. And moving on to our non-relational database design. So we will share how we approach this differently from relational database, what are some of the design considerations we had in mind, and of course, what are the queries that we use to abstract what we want in A2, which is the non-relational database design. And finally, we will end with recommendations to the Ministry of Healthy and Lifestyle Living. And I'll now leave my project group mates to share about the remainder of the project.
Okay, so there's a total of 13 entities, starting from the user entity. It has a one-to-many relationship with comments, which means that the user can have one-to-many comments, while a comment can only belongs to one and only one user. And the comment also can only belongs to a one and only one activity, while an activity can contains one-to-many comments. A user can also have one-to-many kudo, whereby a kudo can only be done by one and only one user. And a kudo also has a one-to-one relationship with activity, while the activity can have one-to-many kudos. So for the goals, a user can have one-to-many goals, and each goal is only belongs to one and only one user. So one user can be following many users, and one user can also be followed by many users. As for the user leaderboard, one user can be appearing in many different leaderboards. However, in each individual leaderboard, the user can only appear once. And in user leaderboard, it can appear only one and one time in the weekly leaderboard, while a weekly leaderboard can contain one-to-many user leaderboards. As for the clubs, a user can belong to one-to-many clubs, and each club has one-to-many weekly leaderboard as well. The first query wants us to find users that are older than 21 years old, so we will use the select statement to find age 21 where the gender is male, and this will provide you with the answers for query 1. For the second query, we would like to find the male users who are following more female users than male users. The first group of statements over here will find the number of males the user is following. The second statement here will find the number of females the user is following, and the last statement will filter out the user that is female with more female following than male following, and that will give you the answer O.
So for the third question, it will be to generate a list of female users who are followed by only male users. So firstly, we create a table, male, to count the number of male followers that the users will have. Then after that, we will create another table called female new to calculate the count of the number of female followers that each user have. So this is female new and male new, and in order to get this portion where the users are only followed by male users, so we use the query in this section, and then we added the condition where gender equals to female to find only the female users which are followed by only male users.
Question number 4, we want to find the mutual followers and followings that exist in our group. So our first query is to rename the followers and those following. And for our second query, the crux is that the people who are followed must exist as a follower, and the people who are the follower must exist inside the following. And using this end statement, we can ensure that the follower that the user follows are also following them. And the next two queries will give us the names of the following and the follower.
Yeah, for question 5, right, we are supposed to generate the activeness insight for all the users. So how we did that is we created a view, num_week, and we included user ID, activity duration, and using a week of year function, we had the week number. So subsequently, we subset the criteria required, namely less than 30 per week, between 30 to 60 minutes, 60 to 120 minutes, and more than 120 minutes. So for less than 30 minutes per week, right, we generated 18 results, 18 users. Subsequently, for between 30 to 60 minutes, we had 17 users. For 60 to 120 minutes, we had only 7 users, and finally for more than 120 minutes, we have only 1 user. Okay, for question 6, we are supposed to generate an age range activeness insight. So how we did it is, for each age range, we created a table comprising of username, user ID, and gender. After that, for each activeness insight, we created 4 additional tables from the query 5. After that, we use the union function to create one table that shows us everything within one age range. So this is the results from the less than 21 years old age range. This is the results for between 21 to 35 years old, 35 to 50 years old, and last but not least, more than 50 years old.
So for question 7, we want to look further in question 6 and find out the male and female portion for each part. So firstly, we combine all the tables from question 6 and we add in a column called age range, which shows the age range. Lastly, we filter out the data based on the gender. So for 7.1, you can look at the activeness insight where gender is female. And so this is the gender, and you can look at the duration and age range. And you can find further data, we can infer further data from this. And for 7.2, it will be male. And as you can see, there are more males than females in terms of the activeness. And from this, you can infer that in this app, there are more males who work out as compared to females.
So for question 8, we are required to generate a list of users who have received more than 5 kudos in average for each activity. So firstly, we created a table more than 5 kudos with the receiver and user. So we select the kudo user ID, kudo activity ID, as well as activity user ID from kudo in a joint activity. In order to get the results, we have to count the number of distinct activity ID as sum of activities, count the giver as sum of kudos, and to get the average, we use count giver divided by count distinct activity, and we round the value to 2. So the results will be as shown.
So for question 9, we actually want to compute the monthly active social networks. So basically, we will list out the users' followers who has given him more than 5 kudo for each month's activity. So as you can see, first of all, we created a table called kudo activity. So this kudo activity will actually inner join kudo and inner join activity. So we will actually get the people who gave the kudo for which activity, and the receiver, which is the user ID, and also the month number which the kudo was given at. So using this, we will actually display our results. So for our results, we will actually display only the receiver, the giver, and which month number. And the number of kudos given will be more than 4, because it's more than or equals to 5, which is just more than 4. So as you can see, we only have this number of users who has received more than 4 kudos per month. So for question 10, we're actually doing the social comparison analysis. So for each user, we actually list out the weekly average activity distance and weekly average activity duration, and we also list out the same thing for his followings. So for part 1, right, which is to list out his average distance and average duration, we create a view called week activity, which will actually display the activity distance and the activity duration for every single week. After that, we created another view, which is average per week, which will actually display the average for each week. So for our results, it will be this one, and you will show the average distance and average duration for every single week for every single user. So for user ID 2, he actually did activity for week 7 and week 8, so you actually display 2 average distance and 2 average duration. So for 10.2, we want to list out the weekly averages for his social networks. So firstly, we just create a small view called following list, which will actually display the list of followings. So using the list of followings, we actually select the average distance and average duration of each of the followings. So as you can see, user 1 follows user 4, and for week 20, he has average duration of 31.36 and 10.5. And user 1 follows user 4 again, but it's a different week at week 21, which has different distance and duration. So now I'll be talking about the non-relational database implementation. So we have created two collections, which are user detail collections and also the user mutual following collection. So for our user details collection, we have our name, user ID, gender, age, the age range, following the female followers, the female followings, the male followings. So these are the lists of the user IDs, and these are the lists of the total user followings. After that, we have the followers female and the followers male. So we actually calculated the average kudo per activity and stored it here, and we have the list of followers. We actually give them more than 5 kudos. After that, we have a range of weekly duration less than 30, between 30 to 60, between 60 to 120, and more than 120. And we will actually put down whether yes or no, which activities they actually fit into this. And lastly, we will actually include the weekly average distance and the weekly average duration. So for our other collection, which will be the user mutual following, we have the ID1 and the ID2 of each user, and we also include the name. So if ID1 is actually following ID2, it will show yes, and if ID2 is following ID1, it will show yes here.
So for question 1 of NoSQL, you have to generate a list of male users who are more than or equals to 21 years old. So we will display all the users that match the attribute of gender equals to male, and then the age more than 21. So the results will be the same as SQL results. So for question 2, we need to generate a list of male users who are following more female users than male users. So using aggregate function, we compare the size of the array of the following male and following female, and display male users whose following female is greater than and not 0. So the results are the same as SQL results.
For third query in NoSQL, we like to generate a list of female users who are followed only by male users. So for the first chunk of code here, project, we will find the name, gender, user ID, and then we count the number of followers of male and female. Afterwards, we will match the gender, which is female, what we want, and we will count male, which is greater than 0, and female is less than 1, which is female of 0, and that will give us the list of female users who are followed by only male users, which is over here. So for fourth query, we will be finding the mutual following. So we will be using our second collection, which is the user mutual following, and we will find both following whereby it's yes, yes, meaning that A is following B and B is following A, and with that we will get the answers, which is
So for question 5, they want us to generate the activeness insight. So for 5.1, we actually look at the weekly duration of less than 30. So basically for NoSQL, we will use find for weekly duration less than 30 equals to yes. And we will actually display the name, user ID, weekly duration. And we will actually sort by a increasing user ID. So as you can see, these are the users with less than 30. These are the users with weekly duration of 30 to 60, yes. So these are them. So the next one will be list of users with weekly duration 60 to 120. These are the users. And for the last one, weekly duration more than 120, we only have 1. So for all of our tables, they're actually the same as the SQL one. So 6, the question wants us to find the age-based activeness insight. So as such, we actually created 4 queries. So 6.1 will be on age range of below 21. So as we can see, we actually look at only the users who actually done activities and are below age 21. So you see here is below 21. So for 6.2, we can see that it's from age range 21 to 35, and we can look at whether there are weekly duration. For 6.3 will be 35 to 50, and for 6.4 will be above 50 years old. So as you can see, most people most of the users are above 50 years old.
So for question 7, we're supposed to generate age-based activeness insight for each gender. So we did that by splitting query 7 into two parts, 7.1 and 7.2. So 7.1 we did it for the female gender. So we did it by the aggregate function where we matched the gender to the weekly duration of exercise. So these are the results, and they match well with the SQL results. So for 7.2, the male results are also in line with the SQL results. For question 8, we are supposed to generate a list of users who have received more than 5 kudos in average for each activity. So we do that by using the find function, specifying that the average kudo per activity is greater than 5. Then we display the name, user ID, and average kudo per activity, and these are the results. The results are the same as the SQL results.
Question 9, we want to find users with followers that gave him or her more than 5 kudos for each activity. So, in this statement, we will find the array of followers who give more than 5 kudos if the user that is more than 0, which means that actually exists. So this will be the answers. And this answer actually corresponds well with the results we get in SQL. So similar insights can be found. For the first part of question 10, we want to find the average duration and distance of a user's weekly activity. So as you can see, we want to find users with average distance or average duration that's more than 0, which means they actually work out during the week. And we display the name, user ID, their average distance and average duration. And we sorted it based on the user ID. So as you can see, the data here actually corresponds well with the results we got in SQL. Question 10.2, we want to find the people who the user follows and the average activity, duration and also distance that they conducted. So we'll be using aggregate and we're going to use a special graph lookup. And for graph lookup, we're going to do a recursive search and match the user ID with the information, their own information from user details. And using match, we want to limit the users that we found to users who has a following, which means users who don't have a following won't appear in the data. And as you can see from data, we have 77 unique user IDs, and this differs from 34 user IDs which is found in SQL query. This is because certain queries follows users who don't actually conduct activity, as this is not inside our query statement. However, the final data and results corresponds well with the ones found in the SQL, so similar insights could be found as well.
So next, moving on to our recommendation. So based on our implementation, we've observed that for SQL, since the information of different entities are highly correlated, it's easier for us to actually link the table to obtain our results. And also that SQL has a higher performance in doing so. As for NoSQL, we realize that it's harder to establish links between the entities, so it is easier for us to actually extract details if we were to collate the details into a single collection. However, if you want to collate everything into a single collection, we require additional manpower and effort, and this might not be feasible. So hence, we recommend MHL to use SQL. So SQL, it makes use of structured query language, so it's more suited for complex queries and enables users to actually extract only the useful details from the different entities which are linked from the large pool of data. So SQL is also table-based, which means that the results from query will be displayed in rows and columns, so this will make it simpler for users to actually understand. And SQL follows a set of well-defined standards, which is used by ISO and ANSI, while NoSQL does not have any stringent standards. So SQL also complies with the ACID properties, atomic, consistent, isolation, and durability. So it helps to protect data integrity and makes database more reliable. So lastly, SQL also has a stronger consistency, concurrency, and recovery. Hence, we do recommend MHL to use SQL to store their data.